Hey, everybody, welcome back to Tavern Talks. This is another wonderful episode where we get to talk with a new guest about tabletop role playing games. For those that are new with us, as usual, this is a semi structured show. I'll give it that. Think about it as three guys or three people, rather, sitting at a bar talking about tabletop. And then once the monster hits, we'll jump into what that means. And then, of course, at the end of the show, right before the last 30 minutes of the show, we'll have happy hour, where if you are a guest or if you are a audience member in the Twitch channel, you can ask questions. So yeah. So Isaiah, or how would you like to say that, or would you Legendl0re, how would you like to be presented on stream consistently?
Legendl0re is fine.
Okay, so Legendl0re is our guest for the evening. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I am Isaiah / Legendl0re, or Legend, as some people have taken to calling me. I'm a D&D YouTuber, and I'm not primarily just D&D, but mostly, fantasy character illustration, world building, and I make videos that kind of help dungeon masters with their world building a little bit and sort of providing new interpretations for classic things from mainly the Forgotten Realms campaign setting, but I've also touched on things like Easy D6, Merkborg, Shadow Dark, and I just want to help people. Yeah, there you go. And I just want to help people, have an easier time and have a more fun time making worlds that are a little bit different from just the traditional depiction. Yep, it's all good stuff.
Yeah, I love Shadow Dark is my bread and butter. That's what I play at my tables. And then we're learning Morkborg and things like that. We just got back from Gary Con just 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks or a week ago?
2 weeks man,
2 weeks ago.
I want to go to Gary Con so bad.
Come on over, my friend.
Oh yeah. Man, it's more a question of if I can afford it. That's the thing, man. It's a big one.
Yeah. Are you in the States or are you outside of the States?
No, I'm in New Jersey.
Okay. So not exactly like crazy amounts of cost, but it is still a cost, of course.
Yeah, unfortunately,
we got to play a lot of, because that's the other thing that I got. So I got a Shadow Dark when we were there, and Pirate Borg, and that's about a lot that we played while we were there. I feel like, there were some other things, but that's what sticks out the most.
Yeah, I played 14 games that weekend and was exhausted.
I wish I could play 14 games in like a weekend. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's possible. It really is. And the cost is not terrible if you're just going as a player. Once you start diving into the higher costs, and getting the early perks so that you can get from playing games you want to play in rather than just what games that you have to pick up at the end of it. That gets, of course, a little bit more pricey. But I gotta say, the way I found it, Legend, is through the Forgotten Realms. So for those that have been following the channel for a while, we run an Icewind Dale campaign, and though things have been very screwy, one of the main now benefactors of the game is Levistus, otherwise known as the seventh devil of. So, and
he's either sixth or seventh.
Seventh. Stichnias, I know the name of it, but I can't remember the level of it off the top of my head, and I don't have my chart in front of me. So when I saw the character art, I immediately reached out and I was like, "Oh, can I use this for our show?" Because this was like this is now not only just an NPC that floats around and picks on the players, but now he is actually one of our players has taken him on as his warlock patron. So we have more lore developing behind Stichnia and Levistus, the god, the devil. So
very nice.
Yeah.
He's the fifth one. Okay.
Fifth one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stygia, the fifth one. Prince of Ice. I was like, we are so close.
Yeah, we'll get there. But then I saw the fact that the artwork was just phenomenal. So that's one thing I'm definitely displaying today. Normally we don't have a slideshow, but you sent so much amazing artwork, so we dropped that up on the top right of the screen to watch this flip through.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, 100%. So one thing I like to do is to start is kind of get a background of how you got into tabletop, because I think that everybody has a story and it might help somebody in the future. So what was your first experience with tabletop?
So ironically, the first game system I ever played was actually not D&D. It was Pathfinder First Edition, and I've never played another tabletop system beforehand, so I had no point of reference for it. I know it's like, oh, I'm just going to jump into one of the most mechanically complicated systems ever published for my first foray. And ironically, it was also before Fifth Edition even came out, so I would have, if I were to go to step down, I would have ended up having D&D Fourth Edition, which is only slightly less complicated.
Yeah.
But what happened is we were originally expressing interest in playing tabletop to a friend, and she unfortunately didn't have a lot of time to be able to develop a game up because she has a chronic illness, and it unfortunately puts her down for days. So we waited for about like 3 months, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna take the load off of her and I'm just gonna run it. And so I decided to pick it up, and we messed up so many rules. We hand waved so much bullshit in that system. But it was we still talk about that campaign and how batshit crazy it was. But yeah, I just picked it up and we ran that campaign for like 3-4 years. And it was great. It was legitimately wonderful, but eventually I wanted to play a simpler game, so we moved on to D&D 5th edition. And now I'm kind of experiencing the edition fatigue of that. So
yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, once you play a game long enough, you know its ins and outs, it's hard to, you want to take a break, play something new. Hence, I'm diving into Merkborg and Shadow Dark. And they are both excellent systems. Merkborg especially is so heavy-handed in its wackiness.
So Merkborg's interesting because within a very short period of time, the third party took over. You've got Morkborg, you've got Pirateborg, you've got Cyborg, you have Ragnarborg, you have, and I could probably go down a couple more because some of them don't actually say Borg on them, but there are other systems that work just as much like Cyborg and those and things like that.
My favorite version of Mork is to run Mork Manual because it's the most like old B and X old original D&D, which is like the feeling I'm trying to capture with it.
There you go. Yeah. That's us with Shadow Dark. Trying to get that original feeling going. And then the flame mechanic to me, or the light mechanic to me, just made my players have so much extra fun because they're like, wait, I actually have to light a torch, and it actually has a timer, and it actually I have to pay attention. I'm like, yeah.
It's so beneficial because it not only puts attention on the players, but also helps the DM be like, hey, you're running out of time, go. Because you normally don't have that, literal fire under the players' asses. Like they'll analysis paralysis themselves for hours if you let them to do it.
Oh yeah, and I think that's a fun thing with the Shadow Dark system is that you can push that tension even in a very non-tension moment. You're like, hey, you're sitting around a dungeon and the lights are churning and everything's waiting, and when are we going to see you moving? And then all of a sudden they're like, especially if you use like some of the apps, because they'll change colors as they start to dwindle. You're like, oh, that's not good. Like we got to figure out something new.
Sometimes one of my favorite things to do whenever I'm running a dungeon in Shadow Dark is if the players are spending too much time, I don't even warn them. I have a monster shoot the torch, and they have to make a save to keep the torch from hitting the ground and going out. And I'm like, oh, look at that! You shouldn't have wasted time, bud.
Oh, absolutely. I absolutely love that. One thing that my players know is that in the world that we play in Shadow Dark is that darkness has its own danger. So they know if that light actually goes out, something is going to show up. We don't know what. I have like a couple different random tables that I roll on. But like there's always something that shows up, and sometimes it could be good. Very, very seldomly. But I do leave a couple points in there to be like, it could happen.
Yeah, I like the I like the idea of almost like a sentient, like giving darkness and the dark, capital D, a sort of sentience.
Yeah.
Like that's what I drew. That's what I draw on a lot for, like, for instance, Torog, the Crawling King from the Forgotten Realms. When the light goes out, and the reason why like the Darrow are crazy and the Duergar don't really venture to the surface is because Torog is around, and when it's completely pitch black, he whispers in your ear, starts causing madness, and it just really lends that great, almost Lovecraftian level of danger, like formless danger.
And Torog is one of those that definitely lends to that level.
Yeah, I'm still figuring out what to draw for him.
Ooh, that's gonna be a complicated one. Almost like if you've watched just like the flesh like mobs, pretty much is what it seems like, because it's just that crawling, just multiple hands grinding into the ground type thing.
Yeah, like I wanted to draw upon the Hecatonchides from like Greek mythology, where they're literally the 1,000-handed ones, and they just look. Their art is so creepy and so cool.
Oh yeah,
for the people who draw them.
Absolutely. So, how long ago? I guess because I'm curious, at least, is when did you start tabletop gaming?
Tabletop gaming, I think. Oh man, I started the year I started college, so I would say 2012.
Okay,
would be when I first started that game.
Okay, and it kind of just gives me an idea of like how many years you've been playing to understand how long you've been actually developing, the stories and things like that. So what? And this is always an interesting question I love to ask everybody: is this? Tabletop games are not like video games. They're not like books. They're not like theater. There's something unique about it that keeps you coming back. Like if you pick up a video game, you might play it a couple times maximum, and then you usually set it down, and you set it down for weeks on end or months on end, unless it continues to change. Same with a book. You might pick up a book once a year and reread it just to see if you catch something new, or you have the nostalgia of it. Like I think I reread Lord of the Rings once a year anymore. It's been away for years. But what is it that caught your attention in tabletop gaming that kept you coming back?
Honestly, the thing that I love the most and that hooks me for tabletop games is just the freedom of choice. Okay. It's the idea that, for instance, Skyrim, everything is coded, everything is pre-generated, which means that there's only a specific degree of paths that you could engage with.
Absolutely.
Like the courier will show up, the ebony warrior will show up, but you're always going to get that same experience every time. Whereas in tabletop gaming, every campaign is different. There's thousands of creatures, thousands of NPCs, thousands of gods that you can meet, and every single encounter that leads up to meeting them is completely unique and tailored to the players, not only what the DM provides, but also what the players' choices are. Right. Yeah, I think I just love the versatility, and I love the ability that a player can literally make any choice and do anything. And not to say that obviously they're going to make the optimal choice. Like if you're at a party, you're not going to punch a noble in the jaw, much as an ass as he might be. I mean, the barbarian might do that.
I mean, I know
a couple players that I've played with that definitely would.
Yeah. But it's the fact that you have the ability to make that decision that is so appealing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
I agree with that, and I really like that concept of
Well, and I also like the fact that you brought up, like you could run through stuff with the same gods or with different gods or whatever. But that's also kind of thinking about like if you're going to run it with the same character, but you could take the same campaign and run it for the same group of people and have them all change class, all change their characters, and how do they play those characters up at that time? I may have a bard, like we just said for that example of he goes in and the noble is like messing with him, things, punches him in the jaw. Or I could have a barbarian that's like, I walk in, the guy never pisses me off. Hey, what's up? Let's go get a drink together.
Yeah. I think that actually brings up something that I wanted to say originally, was that one of my favorite things to do is to take the same module or adventure and run it for different parties. So
yeah.
I've been getting really into Draw Steel. I've been a devout Matt Colville follower since he started. So when Draw Steel came out, I was like, yeah, I'm there. I don't care what the game is about. I'm there in 2 seconds. And I started running the Delian Tomb, and I ran it for 3 different parties. And I shit you not, the only constant between the 3 times that I ran it is that they always beat the mini boss at the end of the dungeon. They always put him through a wall, and I don't know why. Like, they actually knock this character through a wall every single time, and I don't know how it happens. With these parties have no contact with each other. They've never played the game before, and he always goes through the same wall.
Interesting.
Oh,
that is
God.
unique.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
I think the cool thing with what we're talking about with this, the idea of the game is never going to be the same. I could legitimately roll the same players, the same stats, same characters, the same NPCs, everything, and the game will automatically change based on the rolls. So it doesn't matter if I could run Icewind Dale back to back to back to back to back, but there's always going to be a moment where the dice are going to change that story, and then you have to then pivot, right? Like and things will change immediately from that.
Oh man,
Hmm?
that blows my mind, because I just thought about how we've had the Chartling Dragon and we roll for it to go to 10 towns,
Yeah,
and that could totally change.
it could totally change things, right? Like if the first time I rolled where we're at in our story right now on stream is the Chartling Dragon has been, first off, upgraded. Second off, is terrorizing 10 towns, like not just like sitting there for a while and then moving on. No, ripping through a town and then and then we just roll on a random dice table and it picks a different town. Surprisingly, it hasn't rolled a 1 yet, which would put it to the capital. But we've been lucky so far. But it hasn't rolled a 1, and it hasn't rolled like a 7, which would have been the hometown for most of our players. So like those 2 stories have never been touched yet. A local town close to it was destroyed, but that was still a big effect, because I think it was the first big town they got to that was wiped out. And there were some NPCs there that might be there or might be dust. We don't know. But yeah, so because I do that roll too, is I'll do a couple rolls like that, and I'll be like, of the main NPCs that I know are there, let me roll a d20 and see if it's high or low. If it's low, they burned alive. If it's high, then they made it out somehow.
Yeah, I definitely want to run Icewind Dale someday, because I can imagine when you're in the urban areas, it's very like Skyrim Windhelm-esque, but then the second that you leave town, it's like the thing where you're dealing with isolationist frozen horror.
Yeah, absolutely. And depending on your party, I would definitely recommend the idea of an everlasting night gets very rough on a party. Like we definitely kind of look past that sometimes, just because my party always remembering that everything is always dark, it's always cold, it's always depressing. Like it's not a great feel to be in at all times in your mindset. To the point now where there is a sliver of light at all times, because the Chartling Dragon literally, when it breathed the chaotic fire from the Chartling, pretty much ripped a never-ending flame that sits in the sky now. So now you've just got that, and what cosmic changes that does.
That's so funny, because it's just like, man, it's cold, and it's like, all right, you want fire? Here you go.
Yeah, exactly. You want fire? You want light? Okay, let me give you some light. Like, it's not great light. It's light that you're, and then every once in a while going back to that thought process and be like, just remember, every time you look up at the sky, you see light, but it's literally a never-ending fire that has now scorched the sky. And then you get the different change in mood at that point. So, the last question I like to ask, and this is one that not everybody can answer, but I'm guessing, I think with the way you and I have talked about this so far, it's probably a good possibility. Is how long did it take you from being a player at your Pathfinder game to jumping behind the screen as a dungeon master or game master?
So that's actually the funny thing is that I DM'd that game.
Oh, okay.
I have the experience, weirdly, of having never been a player before I became a dungeon master. I've been a dungeon master since 2012, and I have graciously accepted my fate as the forever DM for my group. I don't know why. God bless them, they're trying, but sometimes they are like, yeah, this is hard, and I'm like, yeah, it's a hard job. But
Well,
no,
they bring you lots of snacks and cookies and pizza and things like that.
I wish that they were. I love my friends; they're great, but I wish they were that thankful. That's kind of just the way that unfortunately it goes with being the forever DM. It's a thankless job.
Friends listening in the chat.
Yeah, friends listening in the chat.
You know what you need to do to
you
fix
gotta,
this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man,
we have a group here that I'm not allowed to buy food, because we host here at my, mind you, I host 9 people at my house for literally an all day.
Oh, for one game?
For one game.
Oh my god, that's a Herculean task, my dude.
Yeah, so it's me, it's my best friend who is Beaker, who's the guy who's going to be on he does our model building and model painting show tomorrow night. Him,
nice.
His wife, his daughter, then another friend of ours, his wife and his daughter, then my son and my boy and my older son. So yeah, we're all here, and I'm the one that not only do I facilitate the game 90% of the time, but I've bought the gaming table, I've bought the terrain, I've bought the minis. So everybody's like, we got lunch, we got dinner, don't you worry.
Yeah, when they say that the people who buy most of the tabletop materials are the game masters, they're not joking. We need tools to make the world work.
I have heard. This is my Shardland Dragon right there.
I love it.
I don't know.
The shelves look so good. Mine is such dog shit. I need to get a bigger bookshelf, and just be able to lay it out in a nice way.
I agree.
It takes a lot.
I haven't had anywhere. Oh, it's behind my laptop. I haven't. After I moved my shelf, I don't have anywhere to put this guy.
Yeah, the Astro Dreadnought.
Yeah, so I was like, dang it.
Yeah. And then we were playing, Godzilla last night, so I brought in the Kaiju as well. So he's sitting over on this side. You can't see.
Very nice.
But yeah, he's, the Tarrasque. But yeah, so that's awesome then. So really, you dove straight into the puzzle piece. You were like, oh, I've got to learn all the rules. Well, at least all the rules I want to learn, because nobody ever learns all the rules on the beginning, ever.
Nope.
I don't even know fully. I'm going to be that person and say this, and I guarantee I'm not the only one out there. I don't know if I really know all the rules to this day, all of the rules, especially in Dungeons and Dragons, because there's so many.
No, you can just fudge them.
You can fudge them, or you can manipulate them, or some of the rules are just dumb. It's just, yeah, it is where it is.
The grapple rules in Pathfinder are biblical and ridiculous. Yeah. It's obscene. Oh god, that and having multiple base attack bonuses just makes me want to pull my hair out.
Oh
yeah, that sounds gross.
See, and I try and move combat along pretty well, so we actually use the cleave if anybody. The cleave spillover rule, even for magic. So if they're close enough, I'm like, you caught this guy on fire when you use fireball. Oh, he's on the line, but he's not in there. Yeah, this guy reached out.
He still got to.
Spill that stuff over, because obviously we're here to play the story, not here to play combat all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's why I love using minions from Flea Mortals, just because it makes it feel cool, but it also doesn't make it that you have to run 50 billion different goblins at one sitting.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it is so much more fun when you're oh yeah, this slew of goblins charge at you, and you're just carving through goblins, making that description of you
Just
cut
Dynasty
through
Warriors it.
9 goblins in one
Right.
swing. But yeah, that's similar. I know when they do large combat, that was a Koval thing. There's a couple other people that were doing it as well. But
Yeah.
That's when
Awesome.
you gotta ask your friend if they have any extra Warhammer goblins. So you
Just
throw them
lay
in
it.
combat.
Yeah, just the
Oh, man.
Throw them in combat.
Oh no, I love using Pathfinder goblins because they're like the perfect way that I imagine a goblin to look like. The minis are so evocative and nice.
Yeah. Awesome. So let's kind of dive in then. Some of the things you've done in the tabletop community is coming up with these ways to see some of these over-the-top characters or deities, even things like that. What are some of your favorite ones that you've found in the space, or in the lore, rather?
Oh man, that's a good question. I would say some of my favorites are Lathander. Lathander, the reason, so my interpretation for Lathander in his video was, I felt like his depiction was very much like, I am perfect good. I could literally do no wrong. Very Lord of Light-ish. And for me, I read that as very almost pseudo Insidious. So I decided to kind of take the perspective of him being more Apollo-esque.
Okay.
And being very much like Asmodeus, but for good, and painting Asmodeus in like ivory and gold, and like, I will lead you to physical perfection and beauty and all that kind of stuff, and like him kind of becoming this pseudo manipulative, almost like a smarter Homelander character, if that makes any sense.
Oh yeah, I could see
Yeah.
that now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I can definitely see that.
Yeah, that's one. Next, I loved. Sorry, my phone is going off. Who are you? Nope, leave me alone. I just threw my phone across the room.
Oh, I would have just said, just send him the link. You want to talk? Here, hop into chat.
Oh man, I will not send the link to this to my best friend, because he will absolutely be pummeling the chat with roasting, and I love him, but I'm not gonna do that to you guys.
Send it to him
But-
afterwards.
Yeah, send it to him.
Yeah, afterwards perfectly. But also, Shar is one of my favorite gods in the Forgotten Realms, just because of the way that she kind of has this almost. She's literally like basically a manifestation of like the first darkness. So she's very Nyx, Morrigan, Hecate coded, and I love that depiction. I love the depiction of showing Shar and Saloon less as, like they're always trying to kill each other, but more in the like, only I can hurt you. Only I can mess with you. Like this, the second that someone starts messing with Saloon, that's not Shar. She's going to be like, yo, I will kill you. I will plunge you into the abyss.
Absolutely.
Like, because that's still her sister,
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I really like getting into the interpersonal relationships between the gods and the way that they like manifest. Like, one of my favorite things to do in order to kind of give some Forgotten Realms a shorthand is I'll take the story of Cyric, Kalimvor, and Midnight, the three, the arising of Cyric, and Midnight is the human incarnation and destroy all that kind of stuff. And what I'll do is I'll take that and I will fuse that with the story of the Dead Three, which is Baal, Bane, and Rakul. And I'll make that three with the Dead Three and the other three. I'll put them together and I will make that a 6-man party, and interweave their stories together, so that way everything that happens still happens the same way it happens in the Forgotten Realms traditional lore, but now there's a justification for it. So the effective story is that they all, it's still the same. Kalimvor and Cyric are already a pair. They beat Midnight. They go on further adventures. Then they meet Bane, Baal, and Rakul, who are, they're the evil side to their good side, before Cyric does his batshit betrayal. And then what happens is that Cyric betrays and kills Mystra. And now Bane, Baal, and Rakul, who, they, as much as evil as they are, they still found, they still built a relationship with the party. They still had an interaction. That spurs them on to go and venture off to Dragal and being like, hey, this person that we like is dead. Kalimvor is also pseudo dead because he becomes the god of the dead or whatever. It's very messy. and that's how it rolls into their story about how they get Jurgal's portfolio. And it's divided amongst the three of them. So for me, I like to try and take very long convoluted lore from like the Forgotten Realms or Greyhawk or not Paizo, Galarian, and I'll try to streamline it into still satisfying, but get rid of any pieces that are just completely not useful.
No, it sounds like a unique way of doing it. I also like the fact though that you almost humanized it a little bit. So you're like, nope, these are party people. Like this is a group of people that have interactions, that they have a relationship, and they have friendships and things like that, and rivalries. And what does that look like at a massive scale, like you would say, at a deific level?
Yeah, like I think that the thing that I like the most about that is just for me, in my perspective, the gods of these kinds of campaign settings are just people, like human people, but with significantly stronger power, and they have in it. And the two stipulations is that they have significant divine power, and they also functionally cannot interact with the material plane anymore. So they have to do it through their agents, but they themselves still have a very human relationship with each other, with their clergy. Like in my campaign settings, one of my biggest rules is that if you are not a member of the church, you don't know the god's name, you only know their title. So so only the church knows that Lathander is called Lathander. To everyone else, he's the Morning Lord. So it kind of it adds a little bit more of a gravitas to, like, if you're playing a cleric or a paladin, stuff about the god that other people do not.
Oh, I like that. I'm not gonna lie, I might.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That's cool.
Steal it. It's great. It's fun. I love doing it because then people are just be like, "Why aren't you just calling him Lathander?" I'm just be like, "Because you're playing a monk. You don't know who Lathander is. You know him as the Morning Lord."
Yeah, you've been told the Morning Lord helps this way, not Lathander. No, who uses his name.
I love that.
Yeah, it's I don't really remember where I got that from. I think it kind of just came.
And the fact that like we kind of talked about before, like you have like the life expectancy of gods is like so long that you could go, hey, we're gonna play this out, and then reset. Like now there's gonna be a different story with that because gods are able to do that, and have multiple legends. I had one where it was Shantea got sealed inside of this wood statue and couldn't come back or whatever. And then there was an old blacksmith that was in the town that you actually find out later is Sylvanas, and it's because at that time they had a love where they tried to do all this. So he actually posed as a human and tried to like help a kid that was in the game and all this other stuff. But that's what he did until he had to reveal his head. And he's like, "No, I'm really Sylvanas. Like, here's me, and this is what's going on,
and here's what I'm doing."
Oh man, yeah. Anytime I need an old man NPC in any of my games, I just have him be Bahamut fucking around.
Yeah,
and then I'll put a canary. What I'll do is I'll put a canary somewhere, and then the people who know the really obscure lore about Bahamut will be like, "What? That how many canaries are there right now?" And it's like, I don't know, there's like 8, and they're like, "You son of a bitch."
Know exactly what's going on.
I know what's going on here, and I don't like it. Well, speaking of things coming down from the sky.
Oh no.
There we go. The dragon has arrived, which means it is time to talk monsters. Things we've changed this year is we set aside time to talk about monsters, and everybody gets their own monster that they get to talk about. And what monster are we talking about tonight?
For mine?
Yes.
Oh man, I would say Bodak.
The Bodak.
The Bodak.
The epitome of, in my personal opinion, fear. This is such a terrifying creature of nothing. Like, if you think about what it is a sheet or a burlap sack of darkness or nothingness. And such an interesting creature. Do you perhaps maybe know, because this is your forte as the Legendl0re, do you know any interesting things about the Bodak that maybe the audience might not know?
So the Bodak, I know. The Bodak is always a very interesting creature because, for me, I think that I think that the stat block that is given to the Bodak in most iterations of D&D does a disservice to the actual lore that it has. For me, the Bodak is effectively a negative energy elemental. Like literally, it's the equivalent. It taps into that primal fear of looking at something and understanding that it is definitely it's definitely uncanny and that it's not human. It's humanoid, but it's definitely not a human. It's not a person. And then two, it's that immediate fight or flight response that you feel in the back of your head. And then when it gets close to you, it literally starts absorbing your life essence. And it's like the art for the Bodak in original 5th edition is so, like, for me, it feels very almost Ghostbusters-y, where it doesn't have a humanoid face. It's very globby. Its mouth is like hanging open and things like that. It doesn't look scary. It looks more like dark fantasy. Whereas when I did the video for the Bodak, I wanted to get there's this scene in the movie Legion, which is about like angels coming down from Earth, stuff like that, where this guy comes out of the ice cream truck and his mouth literally stretches all the way down as he screams, and that's what I imagined the Bodak to look like, or scenes from the movie Smile, where literally the mouth is just pried open and you just see blackness emitting from it. There's also a short film called The Portrait of God that has the same exact view of what I imagined a Bodak. I highly recommend it if you guys like horror. And it's just that feeling of literally staring not even death in the face, because death, when you die in like Forgotten Realms and games like that, you go back into like the wheel. You go back into you go to the Raven Queen's Fortress of Memories. She takes your memories and your personality, and then you get yeeted back into the reincarnation wheel. You know, you still live to an effectiveness. When you're encountering a Bodak, if a Bodak eats your soul, you don't exist anymore.
Right.
Like I've played around with the idea that if you are killed by a Bodak, people don't remember you exist.
Yeah,
like
I've played that way with the Bodak, where they start pulling memories away, and it's not just memories of you, like that you have. It's memories in like the essence of the world. I've definitely done that as well, because it's like, oh, who's your mother again? Like nobody knows who she is. Like, she's just gone.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's very almost Doctor Whovian.
Yes.
In like that way, like, you know, like the silence and like the weeping angels. Like I love using weeping angels for gargoyles, because, you know, if the second that the PCs look away and go to another room, they just start following them, and I have boxed players in with gargoyles before, and it's the best thing.
I love that. Well, so the thing that this really makes me think of that I think would be just amazing is, I know we're talking about like the soul going away, but this really makes me think the last Spider-Man movie we had come out, where he had to make the wish of like, everybody forget me.
Yeah.
And get put in
exactly.
the same situation. Like, what if this thing like not only just goes for your soul, but it goes for like your fame?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so it absorbs all that. And now it's like, well, I was this great warrior, and nobody knows who you are. And you're just like, this is what the Bodak did to you. Like, until you can figure out what to do, go kill the Bodak or something like that. Like, what do? You know?
Yeah, it's basically snipping
new.
your threads. It's basically snipping the threads that you have connecting to other people.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. I love that concept.
It's the, I mean, if we think about it, the way that we've described this thing is it isolates, right? So like, but it starts at such a weird level, because it doesn't isolate you physically. It starts isolating everything around you in essence. So it's taking your memories, it's taking your respect, it's taking your feelings, and it's slowly starting to combine it to a little ball, and then it's just going to eat that ball, and then you're gone, because there's nothing left of you at that point, right? Like the name and words mean so much in fantasy specifically.
Yeah.
And without that, you're nothing. Like, and I think that really blends into the old way of the Middle Ages and the Dark Times. Is one, not many people knew how to write and read, so you couldn't document anything. And if you didn't make a name for yourself, you were just a blip on the screen, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
You were alive and you were dead, and that's it. And nobody knew any different.
Yeah. You were a footnote in history.
Yeah, you were and you were barely a footnote. Like, you were a thread on a footnote.
And you kind of hit it on the head too. I think that would be a really cool thing for it. is too, what if the Bodok was actually like a messenger, an envoy of like the Fates?
Mhm.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
I played in a campaign where I had a level of cleric, but I never knew who my god was, and then I found out that it was Asmodeus, and he ended up hurting my character, and he said, "Fuck that guy! I am not working for you anymore," and ended up our DM took us into like a more Greek style thing when we went to the underworld, and
Nice.
my character goes, fuck that guy. I'm not being a cleric of him anymore. Can I be a cleric of fate? And it makes me think about the scene that my character was in. If he was sitting there making this deal with the Fates, and then Bodoks were like all around, like they're here to help. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I had that gives me two ideas. One, in that an introduction to the Bodak as a bad guy is that like this, like your PCs are like playing through and they start seeing things like paintings and or memoirs that were written by a person who was consumed by a Bodak, and they're like, who was this, or who is this guy? And nobody knows who he is, but he's evidently important. And then over the course of the adventure, they realize that he was consumed by a Bodak, and that's why nobody remembers him.
Right.
And then the second thing, that idea that you gave me, was that something that I play with in a lot of my campaigns is I like to play with alternate universes or multiverses. And one of the things I stole from the movie Project Almanac is that when you meet yourself in an alternate universe, you start setting up a paradox. And basically what happens is that it forces the two universes to begin converging, because now there's a point of connection between the two of them, which is the two people meeting. Long-winded explanation. I like the idea of Bodaks as being the time police, in that you are not supposed to be here, so I'm going to consume you, so there's literally nothing left of you in this world to prevent a paradox from happening.
Yeah.
Oh, I could see that. I could see that almost like that being part of the universe's way of fixing things. It's like, oh, as you start shifting and messing with time, now this creature has shown up out of nowhere.
Yep.
Or what do they have in the if you're a DC fan, you have the flash wraiths. So very similar. It's like these things that are just because you're messing with time and space, that things are trying to put things back together without you really knowing.
Yeah, like I get this vision of a Bodak like literally emerging from the fabric of reality. So you know how they have the cloak, right?
Yeah.
I just imagine literally the reality shifting and turning into a cloak shape. And then the front literally opens like a black hole, and it's just, you see hands and shit like, oh god, I gotta draw that shit. Oh god. I hate that I already did the Bodak video, because that's such a cool concept.
That's okay. You just do number 2, okay?
Just the Bodak version
Bodak
2.
2.
Yeah,
I have,
or you could do the Bodak
oh man,
like layer, like, because we were just talking about, right, like with the Bodak and what could be utilized, and you were giving me ideas like pictures and stuff. But what a cool idea that we don't have yet in Dungeons and Dragons is a layer of a Bodak.
Oh,
and
that's true.
And it is those, maybe it's a room that is just covered in mirrors, and every time a Bodak looks in a mirror, you look into a mirror, it's just a different image or a different picture or a different scene in time of a time when the Bodak like consumed it.
A crystalline cave would actually be very dope from a tactical standpoint, because now you can't avoid the Bodak's gaze, which is what most players usually do in order to avoid getting their soul sucked. Oh my god, that's so cool. God. Well, I have done part 2 videos before. Like I did a remake of the Saiyajin video because I hated the art from the first video.
Hey, I think we're getting into like a video 3 here too. So
we can break this down.
But,
you ever need ideas, what is it, especially monster ideas, you come back over to the tavern.
What is it in the Loki TV show? Is it the NTR? Like they're the pruners of the tree. We have this one timeline, and everything's got to stay here. If you branch off,
the TVA.
The TVA.
TVA, TVA.
Yeah. I could definitely come with a I could definitely come up with a legendary version of the Bodak in terms of like giving it like legendary actions and villain actions, because of a Bodak mini boss.
I think I gotta ask you if you could make one of like somebody in a mask, like it's a Bodak mask, and you find out like they're actually people, and they put the Bodak thing on, and then that's what gives them the powers. They're like, I gotta go to work, hon. Yeah.
That'd be funny as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the TVA just putting on their Bodak mask and they
Yeah.
go to work and zip through
But
time.
Bodak's walking up to get coffee and they take the mask off and they're, so did you get anybody good today? Oh yeah, I got XYZ.
I consumed this body today, this soul today because
yeah.
they were
Just
messing
be
with
like-
this time frame.
Just be like, yeah, I got this jackass chronoturgy wizard that was futzing about. Put him,
Yes.
spat him back out in Greyhawk.
Yes.
Spat him back out in Greyhawk. We just took him in Greyhawk and spit him back out over there. Or like it would be hilarious to say because like most people play in Forgotten Realms, but think about it, it's like, oh, well, where does everything that the Bodak consumes go? Oh, Barovia. You know, like it's just drama.
Oh god, Barovia is that Debbie plane in the Loki series where Eliath is just chilling. Oh,
Yeah,
man.
exactly. It's like it's just there, and everything shows up
Oh
here
my-
for no reason.
Oh my god,
Because the Bodak
Strahd.
is just the it's just the visual like manifestation of the mist, so everything just gets pulled into Barovia every time it's consumed.
I just got a visual of Strahd as Cassandra Nova from Deadpool Wolverine, and I have to
Oh,
do it.
no.
I have to.
Yeah.
I have to do it.
I just want the image. You don't have to do the whole lore portion, but I want the image of like Strahd standing there and being like, as these things are just falling out of the mist, and just, what the fuck? Like, really? This isn't a trap.
Oh man,
It's like,
it's so good.
Strahd's like, I should have never made that deal with the fates to begin with.
never should have made that deal with the God of Death, anyways. Yeah.
Oh man.
God, that'd be hilarious. Yeah, no, that would be fun, and what a cool concept of being able to shift. Like a Bodak could legitimately be the one thing you drop into a campaign, and it would change the entirety of the campaign.
Oh yeah.
So you do everything the same. You do, you pick a module that you've played 1,000 times, and the only thing you change is you drop a Bodak in there, and now the whole thing changes because you don't know who's getting it consumed, who's gonna forget, what
Well,
are they forgetting?
And off of the whole thing, if they were an envoy of like the fates or whatever, I mean, think about every time you see this. If you were one of the clerics of fate, and you can actually see these creatures, and like you see as they started from wherever it was with the fates, and they're just slowly eating that string that's
Yeah.
connected to the character, and it's like
It's like
if you stop for too long, it almost turns into
it's like a
what's
spaghetti
this-
noodle.
what's the Stephen King book? 1966,
Maybe.
1866, where it's the rats.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know. I
If
know
you-
what you're talking about. I just
Yeah.
can't remember the name.
Yeah, if you stop the Bodak, the Bodak still continues. It doesn't matter,
Yeah.
you know.
It's very.
Unless you kill it.
It's very. It's very. It follows.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yes.
Yeah.
First, I thought you were
Oh,
going
man.
for like the the was it Lady and the Tramp movie where they just suck the strings together until they consume each other because they literally hit each other.
Yeah.
So I can't have a Bodak romance, unfortunately, because my partner will never let me live it down. She very much loves that. She loves taking monsters and making them kind of like very like not cutesy but very like human. Like she would die over the idea of like a Bodak, two Bodaks having like a spaghetti meal with teacups and shit. And I'm like, that's
Oh my
not
god.
that's not what we're doing here, baby. I'm sorry.
But it would be an interesting concept of like, could you imagine if the Bodaks are actually just a manipulated or a like shifted version of the Fate themselves? Like,
Yep.
So like if you've got a corrupted Fate or a corrupted Norn, depending on how you want which faith you're working with. And yeah, instead of them weaving the thread, they just start eating the thread, like literally,
That could be a very interesting. That could be a very interesting divine quest that is given by the goddess of fate. Be like saying,
Yeah.
"Hey, I have a rogue eater of fate.
Yeah.
You need
Yeah.
to go deal with that."
My sister went nuts. Like, we need you to kill this thing.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Or my daughter, because you think, yeah, with it being the goddess of fate or whatnot, and she'd be like, hey, so the three are now two right now because the third one went ballistic and now is
Yeah.
eating the strands of fate, and we're starting to see people forget each other. And then
Yeah, calling the Bodak the shears or something like that would
Yeah.
be very very dope too.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, and
Yeah,
I love
there's
that
so much.
concept too. If you had them too, and you made like a, I mean,
Oh,
we've
what-
talked about a lot of gods already too, but if you made it where there were like special Bodex that actually went after gods or demigods,
Oh, that's something Dragal would do. He would absolutely be like, he'd be like, okay, you're getting a little too big for your britches. Here, I'm gonna suck up a little bit of your divine power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you need to forget that you're that strong. Like,
Yeah.
let me pull that away from you. I
Yeah.
just got this cool image though. So if you like the 3 fates sitting on the rocks, right? But it's just 3 different Bodax, and they've just covered. You know, they've got their
Oh
whole
my
hoods
gosh.
and everything.
Oh man, that's
and,
so
and
cool.
it's not. And instead of it being, what we don't realize is that a real Bodak, and compared to the ones that we see in our world, is actually that's what the strands are coming out of. So like it's just coming out of the mouth, and then they're sewing it together. It's the 3 of them are.
Oh man, that's such a cool visual. Oh my god.
Let me know when you draw that, because that's going on my wallpaper in my computer. Boom! That's the first thing I'm putting up there.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. I would actually, if you drew something like that, I would find a way to use it in a campaign. Like I would want to show that stuff off, because that is dope.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm writing that. I'm putting that down on my notes app right now.
So when you have the Bodek fates, as they do this, here they've woven you a cloak of invisibility. Have fun with that.
Have fun with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it reminds the Bodak, when I first well, I wouldn't say when I first, but when I first saw it, it was definitely the idea of just this consumable, like this consuming force. But now that we've put some sort of connection to it, it definitely, there's multiple ways you can use this thing, and it changes the game tremendously, as this creature is not just a, you know, mid-tier, low-tier monster. Like this thing is now deadly.
Yeah.
Reminds me of the old D&D wraiths. I don't know if you've ever
Yeah,
played,
classic
like,
wraiths.
1st and 2nd edition wraiths, where you don't lose like a stat point, you lose levels. Like
Mhm.
what?
Yep.
You
I
get
miss negative levels.
You know,
Yeah.
and
I can
things
understand
like
why
that.
I understand why they took the negative levels out, just because, you know, the logistics are a bit of a pain. But like I found a very good way to re-represent that in new edition, in 5th edition, is to start fucking with the proficiency bonus.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, because once you start taking, because now you don't have to worry about doing any math for the ability scores, because now the
Right.
proficiency bonus affects everything. It affects their saves, their skills,
Yeah.
and that'll put the fear of God in your players 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've used race for exhaustion, and that was another one that really twisted people up quickly. It's like
Yep.
every time you slash, you have the possibility of hitting an exhaustion point, and it's like after like 3rd level of exhaustion, you're in trouble. Like it's bad,
Yeah, 6 levels of exhaustion and you're dead.
Well,
and you don't come back.
and I really like that we've gotten new art for this thing, because you talked about the old one where it does kind of look almost like it's melted. And
Yeah.
then the new one, I think, looks a lot better with the cloak and stuff. But like, I think it was the one for 4th edition where they look like aliens, and that
Yeah, they look like grays.
Oh, they have like
Yeah.
the long, like,
Yeah.
mouth. Yeah,
It
yeah.
could kind of be fun for that, I think, in a modern day D&D game. Like, I'm not a barbarian, I'm a firefighter. You know, something like that. Those would be kind of
Yeah.
fun if you were like, well, these are more like Martians kind of. But that was one of the weirdest things, I think, because I actually started in 3, but most of my games started when I got into 4, and so Bodax were never really on my radar until I got to 5th edition, just because of what they looked like.
Yeah. Well, you know, the other thing I always saw them as, and sadly it's because modern day cinema is good at this shit, is the Dementors from Harry Potter.
Oh yeah, love
Very
Dementor
similar
imagery.
mentality. And like even looking through now, there's this one right now I just popped up on my screen from Power Score Dungeons and Dragons: The Guide to the Bodak. That Bodak is terrifying. Like it's not very humanoid at all, but it has almost this golem like we were talking about elemental style.
Oh yeah, like that's what I mean, like that very uncanny valley like
Yeah.
look where the eyes are pure white. Oh man, that looks so good.
Yeah, pouring
Yeah.
out of the mouth of the Tomb of Annihilation too. Like that's terrifying. Like, nope, I'm good.
I imagine that I imagine the Tomb of Horrors, the big
Yeah.
the big mouth that everybody ends up jumping into is just full of Bodaks.
Yeah, I just
No, it is a Bodak. It's just
a giant
partially covered up.
Oh man.
They say, hey, don't dig in the dirt here, because then you'll hit the body, and then it'll wake up, and then you'll be screwed.
Absolutely.
I think the thing that I like love about just D&D monsters in general is the fact that you can get so noodly with them. Like the phase spider, one of my favorite things to do for the phase spider is to grapple a player and then they teleport with the player to the ethereal plane. Yeah. And then the quest becomes, now we got to go and get him from the ethereal plane. Oh shit. And then the Balinoth, which is one of my favorite monsters to ever run. I love depicting him as almost a Pennywise character, where because he feeds on providing fear and hallucinations. In my head, I'm like, okay, I could get to like, he's a big giant slug monster at the end of the day, but I can get very noodly with like this jester type monster that starts really preying on the player characters' fears and their interactions and stuff like that. And obviously that only works well if the player leans into it. You're going to have some players who are like, no, I'm playing this game to be heroic and preserve against fear. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's great. But also at the same time, the struggle is what makes it worth it.
Absolutely, 100%.
Well, and I like the other thing that you also brought up too of where we were talking about layer action or just some kind of big Bodok-esque monster. And we've talked about basically them just absorbing things or sucking it in.
Yeah.
But to think about that on the opposite side, like if it could spit something out, and again, borrowing from Marvel, if we had like a cloak and dagger thing and you have a Bodok that spits out like horned devils or something like that, and you're like, I don't know if I want to really like go mess with this Bodok layer guy.
Yeah.
Especially if he's got like a small army of horned devils at any time he can just regurgitate.
Oh man. If I'm gonna double down on that, I would definitely do a Bodak that would spew out like shadows. Because it's basically channeling small pieces of itself that suck less in terms of like draining, they like shadows I think drain ability scores and things like that. But that sounds real dope because the Bodak everyone knows is meant to consume. The second it spits something out, the party is like, okay, we got to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
I'm not
dealing with that. Change and look completely like, hold up, this isn't normal. This isn't good.
Well, and especially if you're in a game like that where you've had so many sessions where all it's done is consume, and then you get to a point of that, so your players and their characters have now realized what this is, and you're like, I think we're screwed. We've just seen it eating all this stuff. Or the other cool thing would be if it was the same Bodak that they met maybe in like episode 1 or whatever, and then you get up to like episode 100, and now everything that they've ever seen between 1 and 100 that it's eaten, it is now able to spit back out.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Or a form of it. So like now you're seeing like NPCs that this thing has consumed come back to life, but not like fully, because shadows can take on form. So it's like, oh, that shadow looks very similar to something, or,
I just realized, ironically, that feeding a phylactery to a Bodak would be a great way to destroy it.
Yes.
Yeah,
I agree.
So that becomes a journey of like, okay, we know how to destroy this phylactery, but now we have to go and find a Bodak. Oh man,
we have to find it. We have to somehow capture it or feed it. One of the two. We don't know which one yet, but we've got to figure out this.
Well, because think about it this way: the phylactery is full of like all the souls that the Lich has been using to maintain its mortality, right? So like now they have the moral decision is like, do we feed and lose all of these souls to a Bodak, but destroy the phylactery with little hyper effort, or do we put in the additional effort to try and destroy the phylactery in a way that doesn't cause those souls to be consumed?
Right. So where was the Bodak when Harry was trying to find, Voldemort stuff? I mean,
for real.
I mean, why did they just, tame the Dementor? Well, because, can't do that. Anyway, We're entering into. We're just passing a little over happy hour. This is the opportunity for those that are still in the chat room that have not completely just their brain hasn't gone to mush because of all the cool stuff we talked about with the Bodeck. This is where you ask your questions. And if we don't get any questions, which happens on occasion, we have a D20 roll that will have you roll, and you'll just have to tell us what your number is since we can't see it on screen.
Well, so I have a good question.
Yeah, go for
already.
You're part of the audience technically.
Yeah. So earlier when I was kind of doing some research on you, are you writing a book that's a romantasy?
Yes. So, yeah. I am currently in the midst of writing my first fantasy novel.
Okay.
I get very cagey when I reference it as a romantasy because unfortunately that genre gets a very bad rap right now.
Yeah.
And also, realistically, and I thank my editor for pointing this out, most of the adventure is more about the actual adventure than the actual romance. Like the entire actual adventure of the story can exist without the romance.
Mm.
So I've been kind of like semi-pivoting towards just marking it as like a regular high fantasy story. But yeah, to answer your question, yes, I am currently writing a novel. It is in the last stages of editing, and it should hopefully be released around end of spring.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I had to ask that because we talked kind of before we started about me running our Kids on Bikes game, and I'm actually writing that into a novel.
Nice.
So I had to ask you that question because I was like, oh, writer to writer, let's figure this out.
Oh, but you know, tabletop games are such good inspiration. Like right now, I'm running a one-on-one for my girlfriend, and
nice.
she's playing I've been running one-on-one D&D games for her for like 5 years at this point, and they have been super, super fun. But this one that she's currently running, she's playing a knight who was born female but has been presenting as male because in this campaign setting, females can't inherit. It's very like classical, like French, like the Regency in the society is deeply sexist, all that good shit.
Yeah.
And it's like this journey of her trying to like teach like everyone like, hey, like women can be warriors, women can do all these other things, and she's squiring under this knight that's like her father's best friend, and it's all like it's very conducive to a narrative. So I think that might be one of the games that I might convert over into an actual story, just because it came out. We were running this right as a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms came out, and there's so many good parallels, and I'm just like, this is so dope.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of knights, we're
Yes.
getting ready to drop our show here in the next 2 weeks. It is 2 weeks, I believe. I think it's 2 weeks. Let me double check. Yeah, 2 weeks. With our new one in Pendragon, which is very similar to what you're talking about. It's an Arthurian TTRPG written by Chaosium, which is the same
Ooh.
Cthulhu, and they do.
I love Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah, and they also do RuneQuest. So if you're looking for stuff with lore, that's an interesting place to go look for lore. That's a good stuff.
Yeah, I've been told to check out RuneQuest before, and Pendragon I've kind of heard like offhand. I've never gotten a chance to actually look into it.
Yeah. Pendragon's unique because Pendragon has a system called traits, but then they also have like an emotional system where everything is balanced. So every single, if you're either energetic or you're lazy, but you can't have both of those together have to equal 20, and you can't. So if you are, as you grow or change, it never increases. It just changes the range. So it's always this. You always have both.
What's very cool is it kind of reminds me of the Avatar: The Last Airbender balance system, where where like you have to be, you slowly go onto one other side the more you take specific actions and things like that.
Yeah. So like, and there's a lot of different, and then of course you have like actual skills and things like that do develop over time, but your personality and who you are as a knight definitely is utilized by this trait system, which is really cool. And it's based similar to the Chaosium world where everything you have to roll under. So if you have if you've got an 8 in one and you've got a 12 in the other, and you've got to roll under the 12s to get to the first one, and then if you don't succeed to that, then you roll against your opposite. And then if you exceed to that, then technically you're doing what is opposite to your character. It's a really interesting way to say, and a lot of times we found it as a way to say when somebody goes, I don't know what my character would do, or this is what my character would do. Well, is it? So that's how you roll that, because it's the trait system. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. And then you just let your players role play what that looks like, which I think is the more interesting part, is like, oh, you're not this, you're actually doing this time, and why? What is your character? Why are your character? What does this look like to your character? So that's how we've kind of developed into that one. But yeah, no, little bit more then about, since is this your first book you're writing?
This is the first book I'm attempting to publish.
Okay.
I have 2 other stories that I have written to at least a moderate degree of fruition, but basically it's from a conceptual standpoint, it's very baseline fantasy. 3 sisters are existing in the human realm, just doing their thing, and shenanigans ensue. Fae suddenly just arrive in their town and they start stealing people, because in old legends, Fae were known for kidnapping people in the middle of the night and things like that. And what happens is that one of them, 2 of them are taken over into the realm of the Fae, and one of them is forced to be left behind. And the overall the story is multi POV, and it's just about the 3 of them trying to find their way back to each other, dealing with the politics of a Fae court at war, being exposed to the magic, learning about how humans haven't been in the Fae realm for hundreds of years, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
It's very I wasn't writing it to strive to be original. I was writing it mostly to write interesting character dynamics, above all else.
Yeah, it sounds like it's very, like you said, it's point of view based. So like you're going to get different aspects of the characters.
It's very it's third person limited. Because I struggle very hard with writing first person. It's so difficult. Just in the way like I can consume it, but and then they're one of the sisters has a romance, which is the main romance for the book, and it just goes on from there basically.
Nice. Awesome. Well, our audience is a little quiet tonight, which is okay, and but that doesn't mean we don't have questions. So before I ask another question, we roll on the dice, is there any questions you have left, Jacob?
I mean, I'll come up with more as we go, but
okay. Then do you have a D20 next to you, Legend?
I do.
Then roll me a D20.
Alrighty.
We will go on the happy hour question list.
Alright, I got a 19.
19. Okay, this is an interesting one. It's sometimes difficult for people to figure out, and as a game master, now, I guess this is a question asked before this happens. Have you ever played a tabletop game, or have you only ran?
No, I have played. I have had chances to play. One of my favorite characters was my girlfriend was running this she was running a game in ancient Greece, but it was like mythological Greece. Mm-hmm. And I was playing an Oath of Vengeance Aesmar Paladin born from Hecate, and he still, to this day, is one of my favorite characters that I've ever played.
That sounds fantastic. We might dive into that in a second. But here's my question for you today. What's the worst thing that has happened to you on a natural one?
Oh, man.
It's a hard question for a lot of people.
That is a hard question. Mostly because I play with a lot of people who don't take the natural one as a license to enact pain upon people. Mostly just because, failing is already not fun enough.
Right.
And, having blowing your shot with a short bow and accidentally, shooting the wizard in the dick is only so funny. So yeah, it's only so good, because then they're losing HP. We're probably already getting our asses kicked with goblins, and then I rolled an at one. It's not the best thing ever. That's not the worst thing that happened. Like that's not the answer to the question. But
right.
I guess I guess the worst thing that happened was I was playing in a game where I was playing a bard, and I got a paintbrush, and the paintbrush was able to basically create anything that I could imagine. It was very, it was very like Super Mario Sunshine, you know, Kid Bowser.
Is that Nulzer's paints?
Yeah. And what happened was I made a pair of wings because we were fighting a beholder. And what happened is that the beholder hit me with the disintegrate ray. And I think I'm not sure if I did actually roll a natural one, but it felt like it. The reason why I say this is because it disintegrated. It didn't disintegrate me. It disintegrated my wings. So I crashed all the way down into the town below, and my character survived, but he broke both his legs.
Oh no.
Yeah, so unfortunately we haven't been able to pick that game back up, but now I'm just imagining my bard permanently in a wheelchair because
I love that you said that, because it's almost like you were pulling from my mind because of what you said about, oh well, the guy gets shot in the dick, and I was like, I could see a bard player being like, man, I wanted that piercing. What the fuck?
Oh man, yeah, no, my for sure. Oh man, but yeah, I'm just imagining that I'm probably gonna have to play a different character during that time because unfortunately we don't have any powerful healing in the area we're at. So he is gonna be in a wheelchair for the better part of probably a year in order to regain, you know, go through the physical therapy and all that shit to regain his ability to walk. Which I'm fine with. I'm perfectly fine with consequences happening to my characters. You know, I painted the wings. I chose to be 90 feet in the air. I chose to fight a beholder one-on-one, even though I'm a fucking eloquence bard. So. You know,
even though I'm an eloquence bard, it's like, hey, you know what? I tried. It didn't work very well,
but have you seen Big Hero 6? I mean, you could get the wheels that let you roll around.
Yeah.
I mean,
oh man, I thought about it. I've thought about it so hard.
There's so many narrative ideas for that.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I could get a ring enchanted with Tezer's floating disc and just float like a swami, like just going through everywhere.
Yes. Just put your chair on it.
Put your chair on it. Put a regular chair. Like, you don't have a wheelchair. You just have a regular chair that you sit in at all times, and it's connected to Tenzer's floating disc. And
yes,
my bard would be extra enough to have like a mini throne made because it just has to be under 300 pounds. That's the only stipulation that Tenzer's floating disc needs.
Yeah, that'd be hysterical. Absolutely hysterical. Okay. Yeah. No, this is that's an interesting one. Well, we're gonna dive back into this character, your favorite character, because I'm really curious on this. What was your inspiration on this character?
So his name was Jordanis, and my main inspiration for him was my girlfriend introduced me to this romance novel series called the Dark Hunter series. Okay. And it's an urban fantasy story. It's about these entities called Dark Hunters. They're blessed by the goddess Artemis and are dedicated to hunting creatures called daemons. My inspiration for this character was a character named Kyrian. He's the first protagonist in this series of novels. And he was very stoic. He was he was a legendary Greek general. And the way you become a Dark Hunter is you have to cry out to Artemis for vengeance at the moment of your death. And so he was very like dark, moody. He had very shadowy powers and depictions and things like that. And one of my favorite goddesses in Greek mythology is Hecate, just because of how much she's venerated by not just humanity, but also by Zeus himself and things like that. And, you know, the aesthetic of like night and darkness and magic was very, very appealing to me. And what she wanted each of the, when my girlfriend was running that game, the Greek game, she wanted each of us to play a demigod. We had a demigod parent. So mine was Hecate. We had a cleric who had Athena as a mother. We had a monk named Orion who was the son of Helios. There was a bunch of wild stuff in that one. And yeah, I liked him so much because he was the quintessential paladin, but he was very, very socially awkward because he was the son of Hecate. So he had that, like, if you didn't, when he opens his mouth and he talks to you, he's just a chill guy. But if you're looking at him, he has like that broody, terrifying exterior. And we did crazy shit in that game, and we saved We saved a child from being sacrificed to an evil cult of Demeter.
Okay.
We fought a bunch of changelings. We stole a slave ship and freed all the slaves. Like, oh my god! Like Thieves was wild in that game, 100%. Man, I really want to play that game again because it was so. It ended because two of our players unfortunately moved down to the southern states, and it just unfortunately didn't pick it back up. But that was such a good game.
I completely understand that. I had a whole group of people that I played with, and they all moved together up north.
I know
like,
it.
7 of you are all moving at the same time.
Yeah, it's just like, guys, if you're not having fun playing the game, just tell me. You don't have to move states away. Like, it's fine. Yeah. We can play Talisman or something.
We've threatened, like, our table here at the house, like, we've threatened each other. It's like, you're not allowed to move. You're not allowed to move. Like, my one buddy's having an issue trying to find a job, and the two of us are like, hey, if it gets too hard, man, you just let us know. We'll help you with the bills. Like, you're not moving. It's like, it ain't happening. I'd rather you be here than so. But we were joking about it one night.
Yeah.
And, like, everybody does their thing for their own well-being, but like I was like, no, if we can save it, let's just save the party. Like, we've been playing now almost a year together since we found everybody, and it's been such a good table. And we do a lot of collaborative gaming because I don't ever know what they want to do. So they're like, ask what we want to do this week. I'm like, all right, cool. So it's a lot of rolling on tables. It's a lot of collaborative gaming, and
it's a lot of. It sounds like it's a lot of discovering.
Yeah, it's a lot of discovering completely, both for the game master and the players. And it's cool though, because like, while everybody else is kind of telling bits and pieces of the story that I have not had a chance to come up with, it's like now I'm writing it down so that I can add it to my list of things I know, so that if something comes up later, I can be like, well, this is what that means and whatnot. So we're really writing the story together, and it's been a lot of fun.
Like I really want to get, like, I remember watching this video about Joe Manganiello's D&D table where he has like 12 people, and he's been somehow managing to run that game for like 9-8 years or even longer than that. And I'm over here like, man, I wish I had people who were that dedicated and that I had enough creative juices to just keep a game running that long.
Yeah, Dress to Quest is rocking on 3 right now. That's where we're heading.
Oh man.
So same cast. Yeah. We've lost 2 people in our cast, and we picked up 2 more. But like, the main cast is, and then we just got back one of our players that we had from the beginning, which was really cool to reintegrate to the table. Because I always leave my players when they leave a table, especially online, because you never know when they're going to come back online.
Yeah.
I always try to give them an out. Like, one of our characters, we went through a really big problem with the Goliath camps in Icewind Dale. You've never played it. 2 clans are having a very heavy feud. And our players decided that they were going to unite the clans. Well, when they did, something happened, and their chief needed help in training. So our player, who was stepping away, went and trained the Goliath camp for however long that was until they returned.
Nice. That's very cool. That's a very cool way to kind of transition them out.
Yeah. We had another character who got bit by the... so another cool thing about Icewind Dale is they have a type of lycanthrope called for werebears, but they're polar bears. But the polar bears are not known the same. They don't do the same thing as you would with a basic curse. They're more like guardians of the snow and like protectors. And our story, we made it so that there could only be one, kind of like the Highlander. So when one is bitten, the other, it's bitten as a blessing, not as a curse. And then they're given that gift, and then the previous one will fall. And that's the only way they die, other than old age.
I mean that plays very well into that meme where it says that each were creature has its own alignment, and the werebears is like lawful good or something like that.
Yeah, and then the polar bear takes us like to a higher level even. But we had one of our characters who he wanted to play scrawny, like malnourished version of a Goliath, and he was having to step away due to some home just life changes and things like that.
Yeah.
So we gifted him that character, so it helped healed his character so that he could be stronger, but also that it allowed him to just kind of roam Icewind Dale whenever he wants to show up. He can, because he's just this ever roaming polar bear that has a fishing rod on his back and a little bit of a tunic on at all times, just kind of just moseying through this giant storm and cold. And we've never rolled on the table to think if he ever got hit by the dragon's fire yet, but that might have to. I don't think I'll do that to a player character without them being on in game, because that's just rude.
I mean, if you want to give him, if the stars align and you have the perfect timing for it, you can legitimately introduce him as like already fighting the Shardolin dragon, and then have the PCs be like, "Yo, that's our friend. We gotta go help." And
right.
That's the introduction for that. That'd be pretty dope.
Yeah.
Well, that's something else possibly for you. Is that actually for that game? Is I actually helped James ghostwrite it. So
Nice.
We got to a part, and James was like, "Hey, you want to help me write?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it."
Yeah, I enjoyed that, because it takes a little bit of that stress off of you, because I can say, hey, I've got this idea, and since Jacob's not playing in my game, I can kind of bounce ideas off of him real quick and get what we're looking for and whatnot. And since it's recorded, all he has to do is go watch the episodes, and like the day after, and he's like, okay, I'm caught up to everything. I know what's happening. Let's go.
Yeah, no. One of my favorite things to do is to, whenever I'm running a game and one of my other players that I normally play with is not in that game, I'll give him either the villain or I'll give him an NPC, and I'll be like, hey, this is happening in the game. What are you doing in response to that as your character? And I'll get some of the most devious shit like ever that I never would have thought of my own.
Oh yeah, because now you've given somebody not only a purpose, but like a projection, right? Like, and I love that too, because I think that's the coolest thing to do. It's like, oh hey, this villain has been mulling around for the last 14 sessions. What has he been up to? Like, who knows? Could have been doing some crazy shit. And it also helps the players realize that the table is not stagnant, right?
Yeah.
Like, the world doesn't stop when you move out of the area. This isn't a video game where if I leave town right now and I go over here, when I come back, town looks exactly the same way it did beforehand. No. It doesn't work like that. In our case,
it's an evolving world.
There isn't a town there. Because the dragon tore it apart. Because we've got a couple of those towns. Like, we just had a cool episode a couple weeks ago where they had to all sit in a war room and decide, like, where do we do our final front? Like, what do we protect? What do we let go? What resources do we actually have that we can protect, like save? And our players had to come up with a literal game plan of like, these are the final frontier posts. These are the 3 final battles, and then this will be the final one if things hit the fan.
Yeah, it's very almost like Red Hand of Doomish, where you have the encroaching army coming down, or the root, or the monster, or whatever.
Right, and you also got all the Dwargar that are just popping up out of the ground for no reason. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting one. I will say, sadly, our players right now projected our players will not be seeing the dragon on stream, but that is because we've been accepted to do live on stage at Gen Con this year, and that's where that dragon will be sitting.
Oh, dude, congratulations. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah. We're really excited. Like I said, that'll push us probably close to like 70 episodes at that point. So yeah, we're super excited to bring this to Indianapolis this year, and
that's fucking great, man. That's super dope.
Yeah, Dress to Quest started on Gen Con. It started as part of Gen Con's channel, and then we moved it to ours when I took over. And then when Gen Con TV kind of shut down, and then now we're bringing it back to give our finale for the season with this awesome version of the Shadowland Dragon, which is so much bigger and better than the one that's in the book. So no, it was an awesome opportunity. Yeah. So what are some, because we're kind of winding down here, what are some things that are happening in your space right now?
So unfortunately I haven't been able to make a video like in the past few months just because of life stuff. But right now, the next video that's coming out is actually going to be Maglubiet, which is the god of the goblins in Forgotten Realms, and I'm really excited for that one because I just finished reading The Black Tongue Thief and Daughter's War by Christopher Bowman. Some of the best goblin-related fiction I have ever read. He started out as a poet, and you could tell just in his writing. I highly recommend it if you like dark fantasy. It is extremely good.
Okay.
And that really informs like my depiction of Maglubia and how he would be with, goblins going forward. But I'm working on that. Obviously, I have the book hopefully coming out soon.
Yeah.
And most of the stuff, I actually just released a adventure for Shadow Dark called Holy Tinder. It is on my I know everyone makes the joke when I posted it on the Shadow Dark RPG Facebook group. Everyone's just like, I swipe right, or I swipe left, and I'm like, yeah, no, I get it. It's fun. Yeah, so it's a first level adventure for around 3 to 6 players, and the premise is that it's on my itch store on itch.io, and it's about saving this town has been taken over by a what's called a high priestess to Shun the Vile.
Okay.
And it's a saint. It's a town dedicated to Saint Ragnus. And the goal is that she took it over because she's going to use the church as a place to attempt to try and summon a demon. And the players have to kind of stop that. So it's not a dungeon crawl like most Shadow Dark adventures usually are. It's a little bit more heroic / narratively focused. And
very Diablo-esque.
Yes, very, very Diablo inspired. It uses the Shadowfinder bestiary, which one of the best things I have ever invested in for Shadow Dark. I am spoiled for monsters.
I might have to find out what this is. I don't know this one.
It's very good. So this guy took all of the first 6 Pathfinder bestiaries and converted them into Shadow Dark. So all of the Celestials, all of the demons, all of the things from Pathfinder now have Shadow Dark stat blocks.
Nice. Don't look at my expansions; they're not good enough right now.
Yeah. Oh man, but it's so good. It's only like $15. It's so worth it. Just for the variety alone. And yeah, beyond that, I'm working on another adventure for Shadow Dark right now. I'm just enjoying writing for Shadow Dark and also for another system called Easy D6, which is my favorite system to run in period. Yeah,
I only know one other person that knows what Easy D6 is. So.
It's such a crime because it's so elegant in its simplicity, and DM Scotty has found gold in like the easiness of it. I highly recommend using it because it's very easy to plug and play. You kind of get it trims down a lot of the like overburdening of like mechanics and stuff like that from other games. Like me and my friend have been writing a lot of stuff for it to make it more semi-heroically tactical, like almost Draw Steel, because it has a very easy chassis to build off of.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look it up because, like I said, I haven't heard much about it, but I'm always curious to find new stuff. So
yeah, I don't want to make like a 5-minute like just utter endorsement of the system, but I highly recommend it. It's super good. It is probably my favorite. I would even go as far as to say it's OSR inspired, just because of how easy it is to be used for both high fantasy but also dark fantasy dungeon crawling. Yeah. It's very versatile as a system.
Yeah, OSR, DCC, Shadow Dark, they've all got these very similar mentalities, and they're all designed based off of OSR, of course. But I think that's the interesting thing we're running into right now in this space is that we have now this shift between people wanting to play games that have either very low mortality rates and very, very high storytelling, but maybe not high stakes. And then you have other people who want to play this high stakes, high mortality rate, like risk heavy games. And we're seeing that split. I think it's interesting because you see a bunch of these now cozy games coming out where it's like, oh, all you're doing is you're a bunch of animals that are just building a tavern. Like, I get it, but like for me, that's not my thing. On an occasion, why not? But it's not an everyday thing.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the biggest things that's happened recently in the space is the fact that because of how Wizards of the Coast has been handling Dungeons and Dragons, the belief that Dungeons and Dragons can do everything has kind of been broken. And now you have games like Shadow Dark that is doing the dungeon crawling, dangerous aspect of it well, and then you have Draw Steel, which is doing the heroic narrative, super combat superhero angle things. Like Draw Steel is basically Diablo. You're just rolling around spinning on people's faces and things like that. And I think that's one of the best things is that it's really teaching people that, like, how when you would tell people like there are other games that are doing what you want from D&D better, but then they would be like, oh no, why are you saying that? You're just telling me because you don't want to play D&D. I think now people are finally understanding that there are better games out there that do what they want to do. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and I think we're finally getting to a point in the TTRPG space where it's no longer a hated thing to say that. Everybody,
I don't know. It depends on where you go.
Well, you're right.
You do, yeah.
It does, but like we just got back. Like I said, we just got back from Gary Con, and we've just found out that Luke is stepping into a role to work with Wizards of the Coast this year, bringing back Greyhawk.
I was gonna say he's gonna release like a bunch of Greyhawk supplements now, right?
He's going to be helpful. Well, he's going to be. He's not releasing them, but he is going to be almost like counseling with. He's going to be a consultant for Wizards of the Coast to make sure that they're following his dad's thought process and stories, including some of the stuff that nobody's ever seen, which I'm excited about.
I think Greyhawk was always a very interesting campaign setting in the way that it was portrayed, just because it had very weird origins. It was functionally the first mega dungeon, and then Gary was like, I have to build around my giant castle that has 50 floors. And I think one of the things that WotC is starting to do now, because I think they have a new CEO or they have a new head currently, is that they're starting to mine through their wealth of content now. Like the recent Unearthed Arcana was all Dark Sun stuff. Yeah. And that it was very clearly Dark Sun stuff, and you're like, are they going to do Dark Sun? And
and then they shifted immediately to Greyhawk, and I was like, what is happening? Like, what are we picking? What are we doing?
So I think if I may put my tinfoil cap on for a second, I think what they're going to start doing is, rather than making it that the human and the orc and all the different ancestries are all the same in every single campaign setting, I think they're going to make this is the Dark Sun orc, or this is the Dark Sun elf, and then you go over to Greyhawk and it's like, this is the Greyhawk elf, this is the Greyhawk orc, and they're gonna make it so the ancestries, rather than being tied to, rather than having to be the same across the multiverse, are actually different depending which setting they come from, which I think is actually a plus, because that way now people can feel like, okay, now the orc doesn't have to be the same exact orc in every single universe. This is a very specific flavor that I can get into.
Yeah.
And I think you see that really heavily in some of the new third-party stuff for Shadow Dark specifically, because they're giving classes. They're like, just a heads up, like this class in this book is great. We don't know how it's going to work in the core or how it's going to work in, your other setting. But like, these are things we've modeled strictly based off of the monsters and the encounters here.
Yeah, no, like in Shadow Dark, the Rosgadai, the Shadow Assassin, is super broken compared to the classic 4. Like you could solo a dungeon with that class alone with the teleporting ability. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and like I said, we got like the Beastmaster and then a couple other ones, and like we have like my friend Bill, who writes all the Righteous Vow stuff. He has his own stuff that's in here, and he's like, yeah, just a heads up, whatever's in this book is for my stuff. He's like, you can bring it to Shadow Dark or you can bring it to your game, but do realize that there's probably going to be some manipulation you'll have to do because they're not writing. People aren't writing for that anymore. They're not writing to make sure that it works everywhere. They're writing to make sure it works with their stuff.
Yeah.
That's when I go, you can play the same guy, multi-class.
Yeah, multi-class.
You know,
Multi-class.
or whatever.
You can't multi-class in Shadow Dark, dude. I mean, you can.
You can now. You can now.
You can.
Oh, you can?
I don't think you can.
Well, I mean, it would be us making it that way, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, and I have to say, my experience coming away from GaryCon on that is, I love how much stuff with Shadow Dark and the Borgs are, like, people are just so much open because, like we talked about with WotC, there was the one time of, hey, if you're going to put it out, we'd like to help you with that, but we also want to take a profit of that. You know?
Yeah, it's unfortunately it's very much it's bad faith.
Yeah, DM's Guild is still very expensive.
Yeah, but I mean, with the Borgs and like I said, Shadow Dark, with how everybody like kind of sells their own stuff for that, and then they sell everybody else's. I was just like, this is where I'm supposed to be.
This is where I'm supposed to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
The guys that do those stuff really are very talented and open individuals when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah, it's very much I love it's very fertile ground for collaboration, but also like there's so much content just coming out, and I really do believe that if the biggest problem that WotC is the fact that they're always trying to find the profit and everything, and you have to adopt the philosophy of that if you just cultivate a good area where people can show off their stuff without feeling like you're going to come in and swoop in and just scoop it all the way up away, the profit will make itself, because now people are going to trust you. They're going to trust you with their wallet. They're going to trust you with their dollars.
Yeah.
And it's just it's such a simple fix in our eyes, but unfortunately they are blinded by shareholders and the what's it called, the end of the year amounts of profits and things like that. And it's like you can't. Unfortunately, tabletop you can't think of that. It's all about it's all about collaboration and about community.
Yeah, and the downfall is that it's WotC is not its own company, so that's where the issue runs into, right?
Oh yeah, you have big brother Hasbro.
You have somebody to battle above you that does not understand that mentality for table.
Right.
Toy. As I tell people all the time, Hasbro is a toy company. Toys are usually played with one person, like you're playing with the toy, so they don't understand the idea of collaboration as well as you would with WotC. Now, mind you, they also do board games, but really, their focus is on toys. So, but yeah. Well, we are 10 minutes over our conversation tonight, which is awesome. I love when things go over because it means we're having a good time and chatting about really cool stuff. Real quick, where can they find you on the internet?
Sure. So I think I recently changed my YouTube name. Give me 1 second. Let me make sure that I'm not bungling myself. Let me see. Okay, yeah. So on YouTube, I can be found as It's Legendl0re. It's all one word, lowercase. I used to have 0 in there, but then I realized it was making it very difficult for people to find it. And then I'm also on Instagram and on TikTok. TikTok is where I'm most active.
Okay.
And those ones should be Legendl0re, where it's all lowercase except the O. The O is a 0.
Awesome.
Let me just make sure.
Make
and then,
check that out.
Yeah, I also have, I have like a coffee that I use as like a tip jar and things like that, but I have no really big like plans for like a Patreon. I have a Substack where I post the script versions of my videos just so that way people can like get it from a text standpoint and not have to worry. They don't have to go back and rewatch the video for specific points. They can just get it all in text. And then I have my itch.io store where I just literally make tabletop stuff and just throw it up there for like $2.
Hey, it's something, right? Like, and I think something that we might be doing here in the future is dropping little things here and there, maybe character sheets for NPCs, things that we create, monsters, stuff like that. Because we don't want to spend too much on it because we know that we're working through a IP that of course is WotC based, so we gotta watch heavily on that anyways. But we do want to make sure that our community is getting things that they might see that are really cool here over here on the Misfits, which is something we've been working on over the last year or so. Um, Thanks again for coming and hanging out with us tonight, Legend. It's definitely been a good conversation. I love the ideas we have with the Bodog. I can't wait to see what maybe artwork comes from this conversation that we've had today. Hopefully, we see something in the near future. If you want to check his stuff out, make sure you head over to YouTube. He does a lot of really cool lore as well as artwork at the same time. Something that I am just blown away by, because as a non-artist, that just does not. I'm like, man, I wish I could do both at the same time. It'd be so cool, and save me a ton of money too.
I feel that that's part of the reason why I do it.
But yeah, if you've really enjoyed this, make sure you hit that follow button, or if you're over on YouTube when later on, you can hit that subscribe. This coming week, we've got a couple things kicking off here. Actually, no, we don't, because it's Easter. So we have Beaker in the garage tomorrow night. And then after that, we're kind of break until Monday when we come back to Dress to Quest and we find out what happens after our party has dealt with what seems to be two Shardolin elementals that have now combined into one. And we don't know what that actually happened, what happened there, but we'll find out on that episode at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock Eastern on Monday. So real quick, everybody grab your glasses. Oh, I washed mine this time. Dang it. Grab your glasses high. This is last call. There we go. Got you this time. This is last call over here on Tavern Talks. Thanks again, Legend, for coming to hang out with us tonight. See you guys all.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys all next week for another episode of Tavern Talks, where we'll bring another guest here to hang out with us. Talk to you guys soon. Stick around if you're still here, so we can raid some friends.